Hello dear students, as spoken in the previous chapter about the introduction of the three orders, today we will be learning about the first order. The first order was the clergy. The priest came under the first order in medieval European society. Church was a very powerful institution during the period under consideration. It did not depend on the king. Bishops and clerics used to guide the Christians in Europe. The kings used to make land grants to church, and the latter enjoyed rights to levy tax on such lands. This, I think, is very clear because already you have learnt in French Revolution that the taxes were imposed only onto the third order. The land which was given to the church by the second order people, that on that particular land the church used to impose tax. Thus the church also functioned as a lord. So it used to grant lands to subordinates known as lay vassals, so beyond its circle. And Pope was the head of the Western Church. He lived in Rome. Designation of Pope was the highest in the Christian world, and Pope was regarded as the religious head of the Christians all over the world. Gradually, he came to be recognized as the representative of Christ on earth. Later, he grew so powerful that even the kings were scared of him. Almost all the villages had their own church. People on every Sunday assembled in church to listen to the sermon by the priest and to pray together. Designation of the priest was considered of much significance in the society. Women, serfs, and physically challenged persons were banned from becoming a priest. Men who became priests could not marry. Bishops had much importance in the religious field. In a sense, they were the religious nobility. Like lords, they also were masters of large estates. They lived in grand and magnificent palaces. Church had sufficient income from the fiefs. Church was entitled to levy a tax on peasants known as tithe. It was the 10th part of the peasants' produce. So whatever the farmers was producing, 1/10 of the money was given as a tax to the church, which is known as, this tax is known as tithe. The rich persons used to make large endowments to church for their own welfare and for the welfare of their deceased relatives in their life. Now, the feudal culture started entering into the practices of the church with the evolution of feudalism during the medieval period. Some of the important ceremonials conducted by the church seemed to be copied from the formal customs of the feudal elite. For example, if you can imagine the act of kneeling with hands clasped or joined and head bowed while praying was just a replica of the way in which a knight used to conduct himself while taking vows of loyalty to his lord. So thus feudal culture had started influencing church in a number of ways. Several customs and practices of the feudal culture had entered into the religious world of the church.